Good morning, Chertsey High School. I hope you had a fantastic half term and looking forward to the next 6 weeks of some really hard work building those foundations of skills. And I think what we're focusing on this morning is really, really important for that, particularly leading up to your assessments, Key Stage 3, and you Year 10 getting your first set of mock results. The theme of the week this week is resilience. This word is something you probably have heard quite a lot over the last year, and you have all been completely resilient in the experiences that you have had so far, and I know that you will continue to be absolutely fantastic learners. Now, where I like to start with resilience is looking a little bit at the universe and looking a bit deeper into nature. Albert Einstein said, look a little deeper into nature and you'll understand everything better. For me, that makes me feel quite comforted when I'm having a wobbly day. Looking actually outside of what you're doing right this moment and bringing it into context is really important. We're going to watch a clip which is narrated by David Attenborough now to give you a little bit more understanding about what that means. So I hope that's made you think a little bit about how we're all connected in our beliefs. And whilst it's really important to think about our own strengths and how we can improve on them, bringing it back to nature is always really poignant. And that phrase, bouncing back, I think really sums up what resilience is. How easily do you bounce back from situations? And what can we do as a nation to really support how everyone else does that too? The boy in the striped pajamas is such a powerful example of how resilience can be demonstrated at a young age. To give you some background, I know that some of you have been reading this text and some of you will in the future. But Bruno is characterised by a childlike innocence, which becomes especially poignant when he meets a Jewish boy on the other side of the fence near his house. Bruno remains unaffected by the war and unmoved by the Nazi beliefs that surround him. So he's kind of just thinking about his own beliefs and not being influenced by what's going on around him. Staying true to himself, I guess. Bruno shows the traits of kindness and compassion when he becomes close friends with Schmuel, a Jewish prisoner on the other side of the fence, who, because of his religion, is to be determined as the enemy. Schmuel demonstrates how resilient children can be and how important kindness and compassion are. He demonstrates this whenever he's playing with Bruno, who he becomes friends with, even though Bruno is German. He also demonstrates how resilient children can be when, instead of giving up, survives and even becomes friends with a German boy, which was unheard of in those times. So we have to be a little bit careful not to compare resilience to bravery or strength or winning, because it's much, much more than that. Resilience is not about winning the battle. It's the strength to power through or bounce back from the storm and still keep the sail steady. So you're still keeping all of that knowledge, all of that development that you've been doing, despite the experiences that you've had, which are often negative. So when we think about resilience, it's often bouncing back from something that's a little bit negative, but it's how you turn that into a positive and keep that strength. So when we're thinking about how resilient we are as individuals, it's important to reflect on what our strengths are and really focus on, all of those positive things that you do really well, and put you in your element. These are the things here that I feel when I'm doing these things, it really gives me that motivation and belief that I can go on and do anything. So creativity, being a good friend, doing as many activities as possible, learning, researching, thinking creatively, thinking outside the box, music, listening to people and showing compassion, trying to be that smiley face as often as I can, and then also taking advantage of opportunities that arise, whether that be travelling or experiencing new cultures or just really thinking about the bigger picture of things. Now, even though we might be in our element doing those things that we feel are real strengths, it doesn't mean that they won't backfire and you won't make mistakes. But it's how we pick ourselves up. So this is me on the left, or how I think I am when I'm really feeling strong, doing an activity that I love. But the reality is that I will lose my focus at some point and potentially fall off the board in quite a literal sense. This happens to me quite a lot because I'm a bit of a daydreamer, but it's really important to think about, even though we're doing the best we can in a situation, it's okay to fail a little bit, and it's okay to pick ourselves up. And we're going to look at a little bit more about how we can do that shortly. Being honest with what we're not so good at too is really important to recognise how we can actually improve on our mental resilience and build our confidence. So these are a few of mine. There are lots more, trust me. Mental arithmetic has always been something that I've struggled with. So I have to really work hard at that, and I had to at school because I was told some really negative things at a very young age about how I wasn't good at maths. So it was something that I had to really work hard at. And these are the ones I think those who know me really well will be able to relate to. So maybe not replying to messages and texts and things like that as quickly as I should do. I just don't really bother about carrying my phone around all the time. So I know that that's frustrating for lots of people that are close to me. I'm pretty goofy, as you saw on the slide before. Yeah, very clumsy. I lose my keys quite a lot. I know that. Thank you to my colleagues that have helped me look for them over the last year or so. I currently have them, which is great. I'm never really late, but I'm never really early. So that's something that I would quite like to work on. And then perhaps that would help me spend a little bit more time in the morning to perhaps do my hair and make myself feel a bit good coming into work. Now, this is not an extended list, but these are a few ways that we can sort of think about how we can build on our resilience and start to make those really positive changes in changing any bad habits to make sure that we are prepared as learners and as people. So take some time to reflect. We've spoken a lot about that before. That's really important, to take that time out to look in. Build from your strengths. We've mentioned that already. How can we use the strengths that we have to help us in situations that we might find more difficult? Talk about your struggles, be honest about it, talk about what you're not good at so that people can help you, and use other people's strengths to benefit you. Accepting your mistakes, accepting perhaps the things that you're not quite good at, that can be really hard, but is incredibly important. Now, when we don't necessarily get our own way or we disagree with something, we have to kind of accept it and forgive and move on from it. Otherwise, those things will dwell on you, and it will be very hard to keep that resilience up because you'll be feeling really negative about those experiences. Make sure you practice. That is so key. So if you're practicing something, or you're not putting as much work into something, you're not going to get better at it, and it's just as simple as that. We've mentioned lean on others for help. Try and live in the present or in today. So you're not bringing in those cobwebs into every situation. You're really trying to start afresh. And then just think before you do stuff. So instead of being reactive, try and think and really make sure that each decision you make, as best as you can be, we can't all get this right, is the right choice for you. So we're going to take a few moments, perhaps think about these questions and discuss them for a couple of moments with your tutor and your tutees. Just think about, when do you have the most resilience? When could you have more resilience? And what strategies do or could I use to improve these things? So just take a couple of moments now just to think quietly about these questions. So I now want you to pick one of those things and just keep it in your head. You write it in your diary, whatever it is you want to do. And These are mine, so I've set my alarm an hour earlier than I normally would. I'm going to make sure that I get out of bed. And then I've downloaded a couple of mental maths apps just to get that practice in. And I've given myself a target of just 5 to 10 minutes a day. So it's practicing those things, which I think are really going to change my habits. See if you can give it a go. When we think about changing our habits, that could be quite a hard concept to get our heads around, particularly when we are used to hearing phrases like, I can't do that, I'm stuck in my ways, I tried it once, I didn't like it. You know, we've all said these comments, but over the last decade, there's been so much research into scientifically proving that we can change our habits through practice and through evaluating how we need to do that. So exactly the same as our physical changes, so that might be our appearance or the things that we see on the outside, we can also manipulate our brains in a way to build that resilience intrinsically and really focus on that. You guys are way too young to be saying things like, I'm stuck in my ways. So please try and get that out of your heads and start to think a little bit more proactively about what it is you need to do. Now, I understand that the word resilience can be quite a big umbrella term, so I'm not sort of throwing away the words emotional resilience or mental resilience, but we can start to think about it in a slightly different way. So if we think of it as knowledge, we could think of it as our intelligence, we could think of it as purely our experiences, and we're learning from our experience, which in turn, you know, what we really want is to feel fulfilled and have that confidence to go on and do anything. Our values as a school absolutely underpin what resilience is. It's about building that knowledge whilst you're in school and after, and being so determined to overcome any challenges. And you will, and you have, but in doing so, showing that compassion and showing that love towards yourself and other people. Going back to the start and thinking about how you want your futures to look like. What are your values? What are your beliefs for yourself, for everyone around you? And think about that you can actually overcome and do anything you set your mind to. So start with those beliefs. Then if you dare to believe, you absolutely can and you will. I'm going to leave you with these 3 things. Work out your current strengths as a learner and a person. Replace the word weakness with experience or knowledge. And finally, talk to yourself in the way you would want to be talked to. Before we go and get on with the day, I'm going to leave you with this short prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for the challenges in life that help to build my strength. Thank you for the times where my lack of resources reminds me of the value of resourcefulness. Thank you for the mysterious people who confound, frustrate and annoy me, teaching me patience and the art of forgiveness. Thank you for the moments when I am in desperate need of a miracle, and at the last moment, from an unexpected source, one arrives. Thank you for the difficult path that I only can walk, the challenging problems that you have prepared for me to solve, and the purpose that you have for my life. Thank you for the moments of courage that you give me so that I can live a life of meaning, not comfort. Thank you for the moments when I am aware of my many faults, not so that I can wallow in guilt, but so that I can tap into your grace and mercy. Thank you for sending angels to wrestle with me, building my resilience and teaching me to hold on to what is good. I pray that you will give me strong ankles for the times when I walk on rocky ground. I pray that you would give me a strong heart for the times when pain would otherwise break my spirit. And I pray that even in the darkest night, I will be looking to the light that's coming. I pray that, and my family and my friends may be numbered with the resilient ones. Amen. Have a fantastic rest of the week, guys. Take care. Bye.